wanted a second. Okay.
Am I ready? Ready? No problem. Good afternoon. Let me welcome you and thank you for being here at this press conference. This press conference is about making sure that the residents of Chatham County have the proper information. Right? There are a whole lot of rumors floating around and a whole lot of folks making up things that they're giving other people that does not work. Right? We have from FEMA, from the president, I should say, the Presidential Disaster Declaration. It came in on Wednesday. It allows the residents to apply for FEMA assistance. That's both individually and household, which can help help you with home repairs, temporary housing, or property damage. It may also qualify you for child care, medical, lodging, moving, and furniture expenses. There is a number, and we'll make sure that all of you get the number is 1-800-621-3362. And it's open from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. But I expect that when you call, the volume is high, so therefore you may have to wait in line. All right, they may put you on hold, and unfortunately, I know we don't like to be put on hold. All right, we are very fortunate to have this individual assistance designation, so that we can help residents who have been damaged by both now, and we're talking about both this time, not just one, both. Those who are impacted by Debbie and the flooding, as well as those who were impacted by Hurricane Helene. For cooling and charging stations, we want to give thanks to those who are partnering with us, all right, who so far have served over 200 people in this community, and that's Garden City United Methodist Church, the Empowerment Center, Compassion Christian Church, Tompkins Regional Center, the Mighty 8th Air Force Museum, Life Bridges Ministries, Kingdom Life Christian Fellowship, Thunderbolt Fire, Tybee Island YMCA, Havisham Street YMCA, Islands Family YMCA, West Chatham YMCA, First Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, Savannah Tech, the Grant Center, St. Philip AME Church, as well as the P.B. Edwards Gymnasium. We are so happy that they were able to help us with food and with ice distribution. We thank those who were able to go to Memorial Stadium, as well as the county, as we sponsored it at El Scottsdale. We just want to bring thanks to all of those who came in and who assist us and who helped us to help all the folks that we were able to help and to get those. Especially we want to thank Second Harvest, all right, of Georgia, the Salvation Army, for helping us distribute non-perishable hot meals at Memorial Stadium and around Chatham County. Thus far, nonprofit partners have supported us with 9,482 meals that they distributed, 14,990 bottles of water, 1,360 food boxes, and 1,000 of the hygiene wipes. These were things that we were able to get to those in need. We still don't have all of Chatham County with all of its power back now, so we're still going to be doing some of these things as concerned. But now what I really want to do and what I want to concentrate on today is I want to concentrate on giving the residents of Chatham County the proper information so that they can obtain this help. Don't think just because you make one phone call that the help is going to show up an hour later or 2 days later. This is a process that we must go through with the FEMA funding and things. And so we want to make sure that you have the proper information, so that you have the proper documentation, so that when you talk to the people you need to talk to in getting you the assistance that you deserve from having going through the flood. And so now I'm gonna call on Director Jones, who will take us even further into the information we're going to need in the upcoming days. Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, meeting with the chairman earlier this week, when he asked us to put together this press conference, his direction to me was to paint the picture. So that's what I want to do for the citizens of Chatham County, is to paint the picture. So I would like to look briefly at our timeline, then I'll tell you where we currently are and where we're going, and also expand on the information that the chairman provided about the public assistance, individual assistance that's available through the federal government. So real quick, to recap on the timeline, today marks, excuse me, today marks the 17th day that we have been watching this storm, Helene. We started watching it on September 17th, when it was merely just a disturbance down in the Western Caribbean. We activated the Emergency Operations Center on Monday of last week. It remains activated today, and it will also be activated tomorrow. Tuesday of last week, the governor declared a state of emergency for the entire state of Georgia. On Wednesday of last week, the chairman declared a state of emergency for all of Chatham County. At that time, we started ramping up our operations. We held a press conference that day. We had meetings with our command policy group, and we also started offering sandbags for the citizens of Chatham County at our Sally Mood site. And we also started coordinating with our long-term care facilities, our hospitals, those who have critical needs. We made sure that we reached out to all of those partners to check on their status, and also if they had any unmet needs. On Friday, September 27th, we started working on cooling centers and charging stations, making sure that we're coordinating those to the best of our ability throughout the community. We wanted to make sure that we had some of those services available for our citizens. We also started updating all of our road closures. This was the day after the storm. We started updating all of our road closures utilizing an app called Waze, and we also started looking at damage assessments, not only in unincorporated county, but throughout all of the municipalities. On the 28th of September, or Saturday, we had 7 cooling centers open, and we also began serving hot meals and also food boxes on that day. On Sunday, we expanded to 10 charging and cooling centers throughout the county. We continued with hot meals and food boxes, and we also began distribution of ice, which is a very significant need for our community. And we maintained those 10 charging and cooling stations. Today, we still have 11 of those cooling and charging stations open. As power becomes more and more restored throughout our community, we're going to start scaling those back. I would suspect that only half of these will probably be open tomorrow, and throughout the weekend we'll take a look at where it's prudent for those to be set up. But we do have 4 charging and cooling stations that also offer food. Those are the St. Philip AME Church, P.B. Edwards Gym, the Habersham YMCA, and the West Chatham YMCA. We have 7 other sites that are just set up for charging and cooling. That is the Grant Center, Moses Jackson, the Tompkins Regional Center, Tybee Island YMCA, Islands Family YMCA, Compassion Christian East, First Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, and Savannah Tech. To give you some statistics on what we witnessed during the storm, throughout the event we saw a maximum amount of streets flooded of 36, so 36 streets flooded, 366 road closures. Right now we still have 19 of those 366 that remain closed. We recorded 309 downed power lines. We recorded 90 trees on wires. We recorded 334 downed trees. Throughout the county, we saw a maximum wind sustained winds of 54 miles an hour at the Savannah Airport, and a maximum wind gust of 76 miles an hour, again at the Savannah Airport. Thursday night, during the height of the storm, Chatham County had 6 tornado warnings. And post-storm, going back to the human services that we provided to the community, as the chairman had mentioned, we have served over 9,500 hot meals. We provide over 1,400 food boxes, over 15,000 bottles of water, and we have distributed 126,000 pounds of ice to the citizens throughout our community. Unfortunately, for this event, we did see 2 injuries and 3 fatalities were recorded for this particular storm. For our damage assessment, we were able to collectively throughout the community, unincorporated and all the municipalities, we were able to assess 124,000 properties throughout Chatham County. Of those, the damage assessment resulted in 756 of those properties being affected by the storm. 293 of those properties sustained minor damage. 108 sustained major damage, and 11 of those properties have been listed as destroyed. To date, we are still collecting damage assessment information from our municipalities, but our totals up to this point is close to $28 million in damages as of this morning. Currently, Chatham County does have 18 locations that are under a boil water advisory. If a community is under a boil water advisory, residents are advised to either use bottled water or to boil tap water prior to the use of any drinking, cooking, making ice, brushing teeth, or preparing any baby foods. To properly boil water, fill a pot with water, heat the water until it bubbles or boils. Once the water reaches a rolling boil, let it boil for at least 1 minute. Turn off the heat, let the water cool, and then pour the water into a clean container for use. Residents should continue to boil their water. Those residents who are in that boil water advisory area, they should continue to boil their water until they are notified that their drinking water utility, that the water is safe to drink. So again, there are 18 locations in Chatham County that are still under a boil water advisory. Obviously, with any significant storm that comes through Chatham County, power is a significant issue. In Chatham County, that has certainly been a very prominent issue throughout Chatham County. So we have been very fortunate to have Georgia Power respond quickly. They have done a tremendous job in restoring power. As of this morning, there were less than 12,000 customers in Chatham County that were still without power. And Georgia Power's target for having 95% of the power restored throughout our community is 10 p.m. tomorrow night. So if you do come across any power line that remains down, please consider it a live power line, regardless of whether it's dead or live. Treat it as a live power line. Stay away from down power lines. Don't drive over down power lines, and certainly don't touch or approach any down power lines. If it's not an immediate threat, you can call Georgia Power at 1-888-891-0938. As the chairman mentioned, we do have federal assistance that has been allocated for this storm. It comes in 2 different formats: public assistance, which is for governments, and individual assistance, which is for the individual homeowner or the citizen. So in order to apply for that federal assistance, you have to do it in one of 3 different ways. You can visit a website that is available right now. It is disasterassistance.gov. There are a few questions you'll have to work through that website in order to submit your application for federal assistance. There's also a 1-800 number that the chairman mentioned just a few minutes ago that you can call. That number is 1-800-621-3362. Again, that's for individuals who want to file a claim for federal assistance for this storm. Their hours of operation, as the chairman had mentioned, is 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., and you can expect high wait times. It is important that you file any claims with your insurance first. That's going to be one of the first questions that the federal government asks is, do you have insurance and have you filed an insurance claim? So it's very important that you take any action with your insurance company prior to making any claim with FEMA for federal assistance. You also have to be able to show your loss. You have to be able to prove your loss. So anything that you have that documents what you lost, I would encourage you to go ahead and start putting that information together now so that you have that available when the federal agencies start asking for that proof of loss or show of loss. So you can, again, call that number now. You can visit that website now. For those who would prefer to do it in person, we are setting up what we call a DRC, or a Disaster Recovery Center. It'll probably be set up this time next week, where individuals can actually go and meet face-to-face with those federal counterparts to talk to them about federal assistance. We've got it narrowed down to a few locations. We're trying to solidify the final location where we would set the DRC up. But as soon as we get that agreement finalized and we know which federal resources are going to be supporting that DRC, we'll communicate that out to the public. If you need transportation resources to get to the DRC when it is set up, you can get in touch with SEMA and we will assist you in providing or assist you in obtaining transportation resources in order to get to that disaster recovery center. Okay. If you need assistance with any cleanup of your property or your home, we do have Crisis Cleanup. It's an organization made up of a variety of non-governmental agencies that can come in and help you clean up your property. You can get in touch with Crisis Cleanup by calling 1-844-965-1386. Now that we're entering into recovery, debris management is the first and foremost on everybody's mind, in addition to power. So the county and our municipalities have actively engaged in debris management contracts, or they have already started picking up debris with municipal resources. Debris contractors have been activated in some municipalities, but again, some municipalities are choosing to do that with their own resources. Some have already started collecting debris. Some of those who are using resources such as external companies, those are being set up, and hopefully debris collection will begin within the next day or so. Debris site permits for all jurisdictions have to be obtained from the state, so this isn't an immediate process. We started working on debris operations or setting up debris operations over Sunday. So we began Sunday, started working it through the week because we do have to get all of our debris sites permitted by the state. So we have been working diligently to get that done. Once debris operations start, I suspect in many of the communities they'll be working 7 days a week, sometimes 10, sometimes 12-hour days, in order to get the debris mitigated as much as possible. So in each community, they will be working systematically in zones throughout the municipalities, throughout the county, to make sure that we have a process and an effective flow of picking up debris and making sure it gets to our debris management sites. It is important to keep your storm debris separated from your normal household trash. It is two different types of debris, and we want to make sure that we are separating that and keep it separated. It will make the process go much more efficiently. So what's considered storm debris? Any construction or demolition debris, that's drywall, fencing, fixtures, furnishings, glass, metal, roofing materials, tile, anything that you could use to build a structure or a fence with, that's considered construction or demolition debris. Electronic waste, if you have any computers, office electronics, televisions that were damaged during the storm and you're looking to dispose of that, that's electronic waste. Vegetated debris, branches, limbs, logs, trees, other leafy materials. Also large appliances, if you have freezers or refrigerators, washers, dryers that got damaged during the storm, that's considered large appliances. So you want to keep all of that separated from your normal household waste. Okay? Debris must be placed in the right-of-way. If the debris is on private property, they will not pick it up. So make sure that you push all of your storm debris to the right-of-way so that our contractors and our municipal workers can easily get to it and be able to pick it up. They will not enter private property to pick up storm debris. Also, as you're placing your debris in the right-of-way, make sure that it is accessible. Don't stack it around a mailbox or any parked cars. Make sure you stay away from other fences, fire hydrants, again, mailboxes, trees, poles, power lines, etc. Now that power's coming back on throughout the community, we do have some food safety issues throughout the community. So we want to make sure that it's crucial you're handling potentially spoiled foods in a proper way. Easy to remember, when in doubt, throw it out. When in doubt, throw it out. Never taste food to determine if it's safe or if it's edible. Discard any perishable items if the refrigerator has been without power for over 4 hours. Check your food temperatures. Anything that was previously frozen, if it is thawed out and it's above 40 degrees, it should be thrown away. Thawed foods with ice crystals or those above 40 can be safely refrozen or cooked. And also foodsafety.gov is a very good source of information for you to visit and get more information regarding food safety. Generator safety is also a very important issue. We've been sending information out regularly about how to safely handle generators. For those who are still relying on generators, please follow the guidelines. Make sure you read the operator's manual. Never operate a generator indoors or in an enclosed space. Keep your generators outdoors. Keep them away from windows and doors. Use a carbon monoxide detector. Carbon monoxide is odorless and you can't see it. So you really don't know if there is a significant or a high level of carbon monoxide unless you have a meter. We encourage you to have that as well. Any fuel for your generator, make sure those are stored in a safe container. Turn off the generator, let it cool before you refuel it. And of course, the CDC has guidelines for generator safety. You can visit cdc.gov for any guidelines for generators. So while we are entering into the recovery phase for Hurricane Helene, we are looking at some other threats that could potentially have an impact to Chatham County and our municipalities that are coming up over the weekend and into the first part of next week. I'd like to cover those briefly. So with the amount of rainfall associated with Helene that occurred just north and west of us, all of that water has to go somewhere, so it's making its way to the ocean. So we are anticipating that the Ogeechee River will reach a moderate flood stage this weekend. So the Ogeechee River at Eden is forecast to peak at 15 feet on Sunday. To put that in relation, during Hurricane Debbie, it crested right at 18 feet. So moderate flood stage is 14 feet, and we are expecting to see the Eden gauge peak at 15 feet. So that means that the water should be over bank. Those people who are along the Ogeechee River can expect some moderate flooding associated with Helene over the weekend. At the Richmond Hill gauge, we can expect for that gauge to reach 6 to 7 feet, probably Tuesday or Wednesday, sometime the middle of next week. During Hurricane Debbie, that crested at 10.2 feet. So again, we are expecting that gauge to reach somewhere between 6 and 7 feet first part of next week. For anyone who is experiencing flooding, we want to make sure that you understand that shallow moving water can sweep away vehicles, so be careful of that. Standing water often has contaminants that could be hazardous. Any submerged storm debris can also cause injury or serious infection if you get punctured by something underneath the water. Murky waters can hide biting insects, snakes, wild animals, and there also could be some down power lines in the area that could electrically charge that water, so we want you to stay out of flooded waters. So as we are preparing for the continued flooding efforts, or as we prepare to respond to the continued flooding, we want to put efforts in place to make sure that you as an individual are prepared. We want you to create an emergency plan for your family. If you haven't done that, we encourage you to do that. That's something that we advertise year-round. So we encourage you to put that together. If you need assistance in putting an emergency plan together, you can call the SEMA office. We can help you do that. And then communicate that emergency plan to your family and your friends, your neighbors. Make sure they understand what you're going to do. And then you can sign up for SEMA alerts by texting SEMA to 77295. That way you can get important information that's distributed by SEMA regarding storm-related information. There's also a developing system in the Gulf of Mexico that we are watching as well. It is a band of disorganized showers and thunderstorms right now. It's in the southwestern Caribbean Sea. It's planning to move into the Gulf of Mexico. Once it gets into the Gulf of Mexico, there's still very warm waters, and we will have to wait and see what kind of development the National Hurricane Center puts on this storm. But we are watching that storm as well, and just making sure that we're communicating any information to our general public. So that's all I have. I'm going to turn it back over to the chairman.
Again, let me say the reason for this press conference is to make sure we get out the proper information, right? Especially our senior citizens. Be careful of people coming around, okay, representing one of the municipalities or representing the county. We are not charging you to move debris that's on the curb. If you will get it off of your property onto the curb, and that's in unincorporated Chatham as well as incorporated Chatham, it's going to take us a while because there is more debris than we originally anticipated, but we will get to it and will be able to move it. But we have to ask the public to be patient with us because our all municipalities as well as the county, our public works departments are stretched, all right, because of so many trees that fell. But we are not charging anybody for moving any debris. And especially as you heard Director Jones say, and I want to reemphasize that, all right, we cannot come on private property to move anything, plus we will not give you a cost, right, especially when people want you to give them monies up front. Please be careful, especially our senior citizens. There are people who are trying to separate you from your monies, and it's not the county, and it's not any other government agency. So we want to make that clear. That's why I thought it was important that we have this press conference today to let you know that we do have disaster recovery from both the federal and the state, as well as the county. We are putting in to get things done and help folks recover. But please, ma'am, please, sir, be careful of those who are trying to give you a false sense of service when they cannot provide what they are providing for. We are preparing to get the paperwork done in this meantime for Debbie and for Helene. But again, you heard Director Jones say we are watching now the flood levels along the Ogeechee. So that means that folks who were flooded, like in Bradley Point and around Chief of Love Road, okay, expect some flooding from there because the water is steady rising, and we're watching that. Plus, we're watching what's going on out in Caribbean. As someone said to me earlier today, it's kind of mirror what Helene did. All right, so, and they asked the question, will it affect us in the same way? The answer to that right now is I don't know. We're watching it. We're getting information from the National Weather Service and others coming this way. And so we're trying to make sure that you get prepared. And please, ma'am, please, sir, do this. Before you just go into your freezer and just throw everything out, please document it, okay? Because just because you said you threw away X number of food doesn't mean that you will be qualified for the assistance that can help you with that. We realize that days have passed and we've not had electricity, and so food may have spoiled in your refrigerator or your freezer, but don't throw it out. Because if you're talking to, whether it's FEMA or whether it's your homeowner's insurance or whoever it is, you will have to have documentation. And so we're trying to make sure that you know the proper steps, okay? When it's time, when FEMA lets us know when we're going to be setting up those disaster centers so that folks can do it in person, we will come and let you know exactly what day, what time, what place, all right? And then we'll also help you with assistance in getting there if you don't have transportation. All right, with that, I'll ask for the news media. If you have any questions, I'll answer your questions.
Yes, sir.
Sure, go ahead.
No, you can go first.
There's a lot of these people who still without power, who also don't have water. They can't boil their water. What can these different home people do?
Well, in our centers that we have set up, all right, we have bottled waters, all right, and so if they don't have access to getting to the waters, if you will call the SEMA office, we will try our best to get that kind of assistance of water to you, because we do know, all right, especially those who are living in areas where there were water advisories, okay? I'd rather for you to be safe than sorry. And so we would like for you to let us know what those reasons. If there's something going on that we don't know that's in your neighborhood, please call the SEMA office and let us know. We have scout teams out, but you live there. You know what's natural for your neighborhood, what's common for your neighborhood. Let us know, and we can sometimes send those resources, even if it's in the county or in the city. Because we just had an incident yesterday where some things happened, and they called one of the county commissioners, but then the county commissioner then had to get in touch with Director Jones and them, and we referred it to the city because it was a City of Savannah situation that they need to handle. So all the municipalities in the county are working together on that to make sure we cover those areas. Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you mentioned that there are some people that are, I guess, pretending to be municipality leaders, charging people for debris. I mean, when was the first report of that? How many reports have we seen? And this is the first of this kind that we've seen.
Today is Thursday. The first time I got a call was Tuesday. All right. One of the senior citizens called me because there was a guy at her door, and he wanted to know if she had given him $50, that he would be able to move them things out of her yard. And I told her to close the door and call police. All right, dial 911 to tell them, because that's a scam. Okay, you give them money and they take off and run. Now they've got your money and you still got your debris and things. So the first call I got was Tuesday. Be certain now, because here's what one of the things we run into. We've had county employees who retire, who had the county logo on their shirts and things. All right, but they retired or they passed away and the family gave it to Goodwill, and so we don't know who had that shirt on. And so they come with the shirt, making you think that they're county employees, but they're not, okay? And county will not, and county employee bet not, because we are prosecuting from this part of the office, bet not go to folks and say that, you need to give them $50 or $100, because, senior citizens don't have that kind of money to give away. And we don't charge people to move debris, all right? And so the first thing I was able to say to her, she lives by me in Carver Village. And the first thing I was able to say, if it was going to be anybody, it's going to be somebody from the city of Savannah, not from Chatham County, all right? And so I was hoping that she had taken a picture or something, but she didn't, okay? Because, folks don't think that quick. And so there are scammers out there who are trying to beat folks out of things, even repairs to homes and things. There are scammers out there. And so that's one of the reasons why we needed to have this, so that you can alert them that it's going on.
Absolutely, and I think I want to add on to that.
Sure.
Supplies right now at grocery stores, I believe we're seeing a lot of people panic buying. We did that previously to the hurricane,
Right.
and now, absolutely, I think a lot of people are low on supplies from the hurricane of panicking buying. Plus the strike that we're now seeing, that's impacting that as well. So, what do you have for people who may not have any access to these supplies with our grocery stores being so low?
Well, the first thing that I'm told now is that we should not feel any effects from the strike right now. It's according to how long it lasts, and I'm hoping that it's over now. All right, I hope they've come together in reason, because I'll say to you the same thing I said to the strikers as I was out on the line with them yesterday. I'm hoping that we can resolve this, because it's going to affect every house in Chatham County. And yeah, right now they're telling me supplies are good, and we don't really need to do a whole lot of grab buying, as I call it. And that's my term now, grab buying. Just going and getting up things to stack it up, because that has not come to pass yet. But sometime in the future, if this thing continue to go on, then we will probably see some of that going on. But right now, they tell me that's not an issue. But coming to a resolution and getting those supply chains back to work, because what I understood that a lot of the merchants did was they brought in extra, and knowing from this summer that the strike was looming, that they brought in extra supplies and things. So right now, I don't know if any of the stores and things who are stressed out because they don't have enough supplies.
And then a little over a week ago, we met here in the same chambers
Sure.
to discuss, prior to Helene, I understand that finally disaster relief from Debbie was now being, open the door for that.
Right.
There's so many people that have been affected not only by Debbie, but then now they have Helene furtherly impacting them. What do you have to say to those people who are just really feeling disheartened from, all these disasters they're dealing with?
Well, one of the things that we do know is when you live in Chatham County, right, you're susceptible to those tropical storms and hurricanes, all right, now tornadoes. You've heard Director Jones said that we had tornado warnings. And so what I want folks to do is be prepared, all right, better to have an escape plan, all right. If we ever get to the point where we need to evacuate, we will do that in time. But being prepared helps everyone and cuts down on your stress level, okay? And that's one of the things that we want to do is we want to make sure that we cut down on folks' stress level by letting them know what resources are there and who they can reach out to, including, you take for instance the Department of Health, Public Health, all right? They have a registry, okay, and they've been checking with those folks to make sure that they are not under any distress. We know that anxiousness comes with the storms and things we face, but if they know that we can plan to face this together, and that gives me room to give a shout out to all those volunteers who we never asked, but they just showed up and said, what can we do? And they went to work, all right, at all our cooling stations, at all our feeding stations, at all our giving out ice. Folks just showed up because they wanted to help out. And so we're trying to make these things as stressful as possible on everybody, okay? It requires that we be up to kind of plan for, and we're planning as things go. But again, whatever the stressful situation is, if you will give it to the SEMA folks, Director Jones and his staff, we will get you the proper folks in place to help you, no matter what it is. If it's medical, we know who to get in touch with you.
Chairman, you mentioned that we have two separate disaster declarations, one for Debbie, one for Helene, and hurricane season isn't over. There's possibly another storm on the horizon. So there, with no guarantee that we could receive federal money again if there's another storm that comes our way, does the county have a reserve or a backup that would be able to use, to deal with the funding that would have to come for those after effects?
Yes, ma'am, we do. And the way it works, all right, is the county who has to spend the money first. Okay, and then we get reimbursed. And I can give you an instance where, was it Matthew? All right, Matthew, we spent $30 million, okay? And it took us 5 years to regain the percentage that we were supposed to get from FEMA. Understanding that this is not an overnight process, you don't spend the money, then the next day you get the money back. So yes, we do have reserves in place. And right now, we are not stressful with our reserves. We do have the finances, and the board will pass those things that we need to do to get those things in place, all right, to have all that done. And then we just hope that we don't have too many that stretch our reserves out, because then we'll really be trying to shuffle money around.
And of that $28 million, I know that number that was mentioned earlier about what we've spent so far for the damage assessment, et cetera. Is there like a rough breakdown of, what categories we're spending the most, et cetera, that we have at the moment?
That's some of the information the SEMA director and those are gathering in. Every municipality, all right, has to let us know what they have invested in so that we can fill out those proper forms and get it to SEMA and GEMA and then FEMA, all right, so that there are some state resources that the governor has put in place. There are some federal resources that have been put in place. But the biggest thing and where folks get tripped up is they don't do the proper documentation, all right? So we've got to document everything, all right, from the SEMA. And so Director Jones sends out constantly to the municipalities, please let me know, what your resources have, what resources have you put in place so that we can put them in the proper form and the proper order.
And last question for you, those folks in the county that have well water, throughout, some areas, obviously there's boil water advisories in different places as well. Are they gonna have a longer process to be able to, have safe water and things like that?
Yeah, they go through the health department. What the health department has to do with not only just well water, but septic tanks as well. All right, they have to be flushed, and then they have to come out and test the water to make sure there's no strangers in the water, as I want to call them. Bacteria can get in there, or some virus can get in. And so, those who have, please get in touch with the environmental protection part of the health department, so that they can come out and test your well waters and things to make sure. Even those who have the water advisory, all right, before those private well owners can start to flush water through their system again, it has to be tested and it has to meet the standards for which for consumption. All right.
Just one quick question for me. I'm not sure who would be best to answer
Okay.
it, mainly about the upcoming flood that we might see over the weekend into early next week. For people who are watching this at home who suffered that major flooding during Debbie, obviously hearing that it might be coming back is going to be high stress, cause a lot of fear. Are you expecting it? I know you said levels won't reach as high as it was during Debbie. What are you expecting in some of those neighborhoods like Bradley Point and things like that did flood? Are you expecting it to look even remotely similar to what it did?
No, we're not expecting it to look anything similar to what we experienced during Debbie. So this is more conducive of a severe thunderstorm that produced a lot of rain that caused overbank flooding. People who live along the Ogeechee River, they are very attuned and very accustomed to overbank flooding. That's what we can expect from this particular event as the flooding comes down the Ogeechee and also down the Savannah. So, our grounds are really saturated with water right now. So the grounds are not going to absorb a lot of water. So we are expecting that overbank situation. The areas that commonly flood with overbank situations, those properties along Fort Argyle, those Chief of Love, they may have some standing water on the roadway, but it shouldn't cause any of those areas to become impassable. It'll just be the common flooding that they normally experience in the springtime.
All right. Did we get out everything you needed to get? Listen, thank you, and again, let me just say how proud I am of the volunteers who showed up to help their neighbors, because we're all in this together, all of Chatham County, okay? And so we pass all boundary lines. It does not matter which municipality, but to help each other is one of the things that I'm most proud of as your chairman, and then to get out the right information, okay? Because I want to say again, our senior citizens are vulnerable, and we want to make sure that people don't take advantage of them, okay? So be careful. If you have any doubts, close your door and call the police. All right, dial 911, because there are these bad characters out there. All right, and so we want to make sure that we get that information out as we start to go through the recovery process. All right, some folks gonna need roof repairs, some gonna need, window repairs, trees fell. And so I want to warn them against the scammers, because they are alive and well, okay, and they've already started. As I said, I think the first call I got was Tuesday. Might have been Monday, but I think it's Tuesday more than ever. So that's why I thought it important that we come and give you the information. You're getting it from those who have the information that you need. And so if there's anything you all need, please call the SEMA office, please call my office, and we'll make sure we get you the information, because there are people who we need to protect in this neighborhood, all right, and in this community. Again, thank you for being here, and thank you for carrying the message.